The night was thick with fog over the Pacific coast, waves crashing against the steel hull of the USS Henderson as it drifted silently toward the dark horizon. Inside the ship, a woman stood alone in the dim light of the command room, Lieutenant Commander Rachel Haynes, one of the first female Navy SEALs to complete BUD/S training. Her eyes were steady, her breathing calm, her mind rehearsing the mission that would test every skill she had ever learned. The operation had been classified, Silent Current. Somewhere in the Philippine archipelago, a rogue paramilitary group had taken hostages from an American research vessel. They were armed, unpredictable, and led by a man known only as Darius Vokov, a mercenary who had once been trained by Western forces before turning against them. Intelligence said he had fortified himself on an island surrounded by coral reefs, underwater tunnels, and a maze of cliffs. The only way in was below the surface. Rachel adjusted her rebreather, the oxygen whispering through the tubes. She had once been a free diver before the military, capable of holding her breath for minutes at a time, a skill that had earned her the nickname, Blue Lung. Tonight, that gift might save her life. As the green light flicked on in the submarine bay, her team moved into the water, 4 SEALs descending into blackness, no bubbles, no noise, just heartbeat and motion. They followed her lead through a submerged tunnel that curved beneath the enemy base. The water grew colder, the light fainter. Then, suddenly, movement, 2 shadows ahead. Patrol divers. Rachel raised her hand, signaling silent strike. The team moved with ghost-like precision. Knives flashed once. No sound. The bodies drifted away into the current. They surfaced inside a cavern beneath the island, dripping, silent, weapons raised. Rachel's voice was barely a whisper through the comms. Breach in 60. The team planted charges along a steel door that led into the lower corridors. The explosion was muffled underwater, but the shockwave vibrated through stone. They emerged into chaos, alarms blaring, men shouting in Russian and Tagalog. Bullets ricocheted off pipes. Rachel's team moved through the storm, a machine of rhythm and violence. She dove behind cover, fired 3 shots, advanced, her breath calm, pulse controlled. They reached the control room where thermal signatures showed hostages tied near fuel barrels. The wrong move could ignite the place. Rachel ordered her sniper, Graves, to take position. He nodded, moved like vapor, and one by one, guards dropped. But Darius wasn't there. He had anticipated them. A flash grenade rolled into the hall. The world turned white. Rachel hit the ground, ears ringing, vision blurred. When she opened her eyes, 2 masked men stood over her, rifles aimed. They dragged her up, slammed her against the wall, tore off her comm unit. One of them hissed in broken English, "So this is the famous SEAL." Another grabbed her by the throat, pressing her against the steel bulkhead. His grip was iron, cutting off her air. But her training took over, not panic, just calculation. In 2 seconds, she locked his wrist, twisted, shifted her weight, and used the wall to flip him over. He crashed to the floor. The second man swung his rifle. She ducked, elbowed his ribs, and took him down. She gasped once, air flooding back. That's when Darius Vokov appeared in the doorway, tall, calm, a pistol in his hand. "You shouldn't have come here," he said. Rachel stared back, her voice steady. "You shouldn't have taken Americans." He smiled. "They pay more attention when I do." He raised the gun. Before he could pull the trigger, a sudden crack echoed. Graves had fired from a ventilation shaft. The bullet grazed Darius's shoulder. He stumbled, fired back, but Rachel was already moving. She charged, disarmed him, and both crashed through a side door that led to the dock tunnels. The tunnel was half flooded, lit by flickering lamps. Darius recovered quickly, drawing a knife. "You think you're stronger than me?" He spat. No, she said, just better trained. They fought in knee-deep water, blades clashing, splashing echoes against stone. Darius was powerful, but Rachel was precise, every motion born from years of combat drills. Still, he managed to slam her into the water, pressing her down, choking her. His weight pinned her chest. Darkness crept in. The world narrowed to one sound, her heartbeat slowing. But then, instinct. She went still, her body limp. Darius thought she had drowned. He loosened his grip, smirking. That's when she opened her eyes. Rachel's lungs, trained to endure more than any normal diver, had gone past the point of panic into pure discipline. She waited longer. Then with one sharp motion, she twisted beneath him, pulled his knife arm, and drove him face first into the water. He fought, thrashing, but she held him there, her breath still calm, bubbles rising around them. Seconds stretched. 10, 20, 30. She could have outlasted him twice over. When he finally stopped moving, she surfaced, coughing, soaked, her throat bruised but alive. The rest of the team reached her seconds later, securing the hostages, calling for extraction. But Rachel didn't speak. She just leaned against the wall, watching as sunlight began to pierce through cracks above. The mission was done, but her hands still trembled, not from fear, but from the echo of that near-death silence. Hours later, aboard the USS Henderson, the medic examined her bruises. "You almost blacked out," he said. Rachel smiled faintly. "Almost," she whispered. "But not quite." Graves approached, dropping a water bottle beside her. "You held your breath for over 4 minutes," he said. "Didn't think anyone human could do that." She replied quietly, "Sometimes it's not about being human. It's about remembering what's worth breathing for." The sea was calm again, the storm gone. The rescued scientists sat in the corner, wrapped in blankets, whispering their gratitude. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Rachel stood at the deck, watching the crimson glow fade. The ocean had nearly taken her, yet it was also the place where she was most at home, silent, infinite, and mercilessly honest. Later that night, the admiral called her to the communication room. "Lieutenant Commander, you did good work out there," he said. But intelligence just confirmed Darius was part of a larger cell. "We're going back." Rachel didn't hesitate. "When do we leave?" The admiral smiled. "That's what I wanted to hear." 2 days later, under another moonless sky, the team returned to the depths. They moved through coral passages toward a sunken facility that had once been a submarine dock. This time, the enemy knew they were coming. Mines floated near the seabed, lasers swept across corridors. One mistake meant death. Rachel guided them through the labyrinth, every breath timed, every motion slow. Suddenly, a mine shifted. The magnetic sensor triggered. Rachel grabbed the device, holding it against her chest, keeping it from drifting into the others. "Go," she mouthed. The team refused. But she gestured again, sharp. They disappeared into the darkness. She floated alone, heartbeat thunder in her ears. Her air gauge was low. She slowly twisted the mine's cap, rerouting the wire through her multitool. Sweat mixed with saltwater. Seconds turned to minutes. She finally clipped the last circuit, neutralizing it. The red light went dark. Only then did she exhale, the bubbles dancing toward the surface. When she emerged inside, the second compound, gunfire erupted. The SEALs returned fire, moving as one. Rachel advanced through the smoke, diving behind concrete barriers. A grenade rolled near her boots. She kicked it back down the hall. It exploded, shaking dust from the ceiling. Through it all, her breathing never faltered, slow, deliberate, measured. They reached the control core where encrypted servers flashed. She planted the virus chip, downloaded the data, and set the self-destruct timer. Extraction in 5, she said. The team moved through a tunnel that led straight to the shoreline. But just as they surfaced, helicopters appeared overhead, enemy reinforcements. Rachel swam beneath the rotor wash, holding her breath once more, waiting as bullets tore through the water above. Her body screamed for air, but she stayed motionless, invisible beneath the chaos. When the shooting stopped, she surfaced behind a reef, gasping, alive. By dawn, they were miles away, the enemy base now a plume of smoke on the horizon. The mission was a success. On deck, Rachel sat alone, letting the cold sea wind touch her bruised neck. She looked at the horizon and thought of what the ocean had taught her, that survival isn't about strength or power. It's about patience, control, and knowing when to rise for air. As the sun climbed higher, a young sailor passed by, whispering to another, "That's the seal who they said was seized by the throat." The other replied, "Yeah. And lived to tell it." Rachel smiled faintly, her reflection in the glass showing both the warrior and the survivor. She turned back to the ocean, whispering, "They seized my throat, but they'll never take my breath." The wind carried her words away, merging with the sound of the waves, silent, infinite, and free.